Hello. Welcome. This is the Simpit. I'm your anchor, host, whatever you want to call me today, Devin Booth. We also have with us today Dave Blair and Ameer Assad. Dave Blair, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Most excellent. And Ameer? Ameer, you've muted yourself.
Hi guys, there we go. I just had to drop the mic. How is everybody out there? I pulled a Sean Cole.
It's all right. One of us has to. That's right. All right. So we are here for the Three Wide podcast. This is September the 25th. We do have some tunes on. If they're too loud, please let me know. I think I have the balance correct, but I'm not sure. I wanted to have some on in the background there, but let me know if I need to bring that down. I do have access to that here. Anyways, with that out of the way, thank you guys for coming. This is the Simpit, and again, we are 3 wide for September 25th, and we are taking a look at the Sim Expo. This is the 2021 ADAC Sim Expo. Quick little history of it. This thing's been running since 2014. It is the longest running convention for our genre. This year, for 2021, we had Ameer Assad on the ground at the Nordschleife, and basically what we're going to do for the podcast today, I'm pretty much going to step back, and you're not going to have to listen to me for most of it, just for the intros and in between things. We're going to let Ameer run in the host and Dave Blair run in co-host, so I will be keeping an eye on chat, and will do my best to interrupt if need be. With that said, I'm going to step back and pass it off to Ameer, and we're going to start off with the wheelbases and rims for the Sim Expo, and we're starting off with cube controls. Ameer, how was it, buddy?
Yes. Good, man. It was great. It was great to be back at the Sim Racing Expo. They didn't have it last year because of COVID. I've gone to the previous 2 years before that, and I'm glad to be back I'm glad they brought it back for this third year. Although it was a little bit smaller, but I think the expo ran a lot better this year than previous years that they've done it. It was a blast. I got to meet all the vendors, got to meet some of the YouTubers that are out there, chit chat with them, walk around the booths, try out a lot of the new sim gear. Actually, I sat down to have some interviews with some people out there too. So I'm working on those videos, so they should be coming out hopefully next week, so people can sit down and listen to them. So but yeah, it was great. It was great being out there. I loved every single minute of it, and yeah.
So were you more excited to see the stuff or the YouTubers?
Oh, the stuff, of course.
Okay.
Because I mean, as you want, because you always want to see what's out there, see what the new shiny is. As sim racers, we're never happy with what we have. So I wanted to see what was out there, so I can see if maybe, hey, there's a new purchase on my horizon. But also establish connections too. One of the things I think we've talked about in the Simpit is, when ISR first came out, and then then moving, Sean Cole creating the Simpit and going out there, the sim market shifted from Europe. From the US, from America to Europe, where you see a lot of these companies, they're popping up in Europe, and it's kind of hard for the American guys to burst into that market or create that bridge between them. So I was out there really just to help create that bridge between a lot of these vendors, a lot of these companies, and with the Simpit. That was my focus. That was my number one focus, and then number two was going out there and having fun in the sim rigs that they had out there. Yeah, so it was great.
Okay, so one of the things I'd like to say about we're talking about wheels first, right?
Yes.
Cube controls in particular is what we're opening with. Cube controls and Gomez are the two that we have to talk about today, so you have the full reference.
Right, so, and I've seen a lot of the stuff that was covered there, but the one thing that comes back to me is, and anybody that jumps from sim to sim, a lot of times you have different buttons that have to do different things in different sims. Like there's some buttons, maybe the enter button, then the back button, that can't be reprogrammed. And so when I look at something like the Stream Deck, right, so you can make any of those buttons do whatever you want, and you can also download a picture that says what that button does. And it's like, why don't we have that technology on a wheel? I don't really see that. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, if you want to have a pit limiter button, and you go, I want this button on my wheel to be the pit limiter, and then I also want an icon, to be displayed. So basically take a Stream Deck and put it in the middle of a wheel, right?
Yeah.
Because you can get a 15 button Stream Deck for like $150. slap a wheel on there. It's a $200 wheel, but it's like these wheels are just really expensive.
Yeah, I think I don't know if that's more on the wheelbase guys versus the company, the Sims themselves. So you notice it in Gran Turismo, Forza, F1 titles when you're playing on the controller. Not everything's the same. Usually if you're playing on controller, usually your trigger buttons are your brake and throttle, and I think they've gotten that down because they wanted to standardize things.
Yeah.
I don't think that sim companies are there to where they want to standardize things, or they say it's just easier for us to leave it for the user base to just go in there and map out their own buttons and do their own thing.
Yeah, now they've included like different buttons or stickers, but again, you look at the Stream Deck and you can just download an image that you want that tells you what that button does, right? It's all built in.
Yeah, but you can do that with Fanatec. Like Fanatec, you can replace the buttons on the wheels. You can do it, change them to whatever you want. They got the little caps that you can take off and put on depending on how you want everything set up.
Yeah, but what they're charging for the wheels, I want it to be, like.
It's crazy. I don't think that's gonna really be the wheel companies themselves versus the Sims that need to standardize their button has to match each other, man. But yeah, going back to Cube Control, so they didn't really have any new wheels to show off. They were showing off their wheel range. The big thing that they showed off from their side was their new pedals that are coming out. But Cube Control, their wheels, they're mounted on the wall. I didn't really get a chance to take them off the wall. You can't really take them off the wall and hold them and feel them. But just while on the wall, putting my hands on them, they felt solid rims. They felt great. The buttons, were clickety. The what do you call the notchy? The rotary buttons. There you go. The rotary buttons. They were very solid clicks. They're very great. And I enjoyed them. Even just their standalone rims that you can buy, because you can buy their actual rims, and you can put it on any button box that you have and mount it. They all felt very solid and felt like actual steering wheels that you could put in a car. It was great to see all their rims. Like if you see in the video, it was great to see their rims and be able to see what they have out in their full range and lineup. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely enough. I mean, definitely they were nice quality things. The other issue that I kind of have with rims in specifically is all the Alcantara, So, and again, I understand it feels good on the hands and it gives that premium, right? But for me, for longevity reasons and for not wearing gloves, I'd prefer a leather wrapped, like you'd find in a normal car or that type of material. And now some of them do have that, but I'm just saying I don't understand what this love affair with Alcantara is.
It's a premium product. Everybody's got to have the premium. But no, if you look at it, so a lot of their rims are actually the composite rubber, the injected molded rubber.
Yeah.
But they have some Alcantara, like the standalone rims, they had some Alcantaras, but the majority of their rims are that injected composite rubber that you see. That way, you don't have to worry about, the matting or the Alcantara falling off the rim and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So kudos to them for doing that, because a lot of companies I think are starting to move away from Alcantara and going towards that injected composite rubber, which is great because it's I think it's a lot grippier, and also it's hard, but it's still soft enough to where you can get a nice grip and the wheel won't slide around in your hand.
Yeah. Out of all the rims though that I did see pictures of, that new BMW rim from Fanatec really looks good.
Oh, I held that rim. That rim. I know we've dogged it a couple times in Discord, and I'm the biggest one. I'm a BMW driver, and I'm like, there's no way this rim can be a BMW rim, because I know how much, even just to get a performance rim for my car, you're gonna pay a stupid crazy amount for it. But I was actually surprised and shocked how hefty that rim was and how great it felt and how solid it was in my hands. I was very surprised. I mean, I think it's changed my opinion on it to where I think, that could be a race car rim.
Yeah, they said it's going to be affordable.
So
What?
I'm gonna steal some
Maybe.
stuff
We'll
here
see.
real
Yeah.
quick because I'm gonna keep
What I've
this.
seen, the rumors that I've seen, I don't think so, but we'll see.
I'm gonna bust in to keep us on track here for a second. So we've got the BMW room we'll come back to. I wanted to say something about the Alcantara. I like the Alcantara, all right? Sometimes it's nice to not wear gloves, like if I'm doing drifting or truck sim or something like that, and that rubber stuff is not comfortable if you want to do something like that. So the rubber stuff on the Formula rims makes sense, but for round boys, Alcantara, leather, suede, whatever you want to do, like suede is real nice. I mean, there's something to be said for that stuff. Like actual suede is super smooth. But yeah, they're just saying there are some merit for it. It sounds like you guys pretty much talked cube controls out though, so we can move on to Gomez. I'm gonna switch. You guys have on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen some stuff there. And if you guys want to, sorry, I have myself over top of everybody there. If you guys want to, or if you notice that I screw up and that it's not showing the right thing, just holler at me and I will do the best to fix it. Back to you, Ameer, again with Gomez's stuff here. This is the second booth for our Sim Expo talk here.
Yeah, Gomez. Oh man, it was such a joy to go to that booth. I've seen a lot of their stuff on social media. I sat down, got to talk to Jose, the owner of Gomez Sim Industries, the Gomez Wheels. Talked to him, talked to his, his family. Very amazing couple, amazing family, and he's actually one of the people that I actually interviewed. And I think I have a video for them, Devin, too. I don't know if you saw it. Okay, cool. So yeah, Gomez, he flew out all the way from America. They're based out of Dallas, Texas, and he got into wheel rim making about a year ago. And he talks about the history of how he made his rims when I released the interview on that. But oh my gosh, those wheels are gorgeous. Super hefty. So for people that have seen them before and are thinking about it, buying one, make sure you have a DD wheelbase, because I don't think if you try to adapt it for anything lower than a DD base, it's just too heavy for it to actually work. And I love that these are original design rims that can work for both Formula cars, hybrid, the LMP cars and GT3 cars. They're about, I think when you told me the measurements, they're about 310 to 320 millimeter rims. And he's got all different sizes. You can customize the rims. Like if you go to his website, you can actually customize how you want the color of your buttons to be, the color of the stickers. So great thing. And I'm glad he's come out into the scene, because his rims compared to Cube Control's Precision Sim Steering are very, very affordable compared to those two guys.
And an American company.
And an American company. So for the guys in America that are trying to buy a rim that want something that's butterfly, like an F1 style that has a screen or doesn't have a screen, you have somebody in the States now that makes something like that, versus having to buy something in Europe, pay the exorbitant amount of shipping to get it shipped there, and pay the other fees and stuff and import whatever. Yeah, these are the guys to hit up, and I'm actually probably going to hit them up and get a rim made for me, because I've been looking for an open wheel rim, and it just nailed every single checkbox I had when it comes to an open wheel rim. And he also has a Tony Kanaan rim. So if you're a fan of Tony Kanaan, he's actually a huge supporter of Gomez Sim Racing. So if you love Tony Kanaan, looking for an open wheel rim, he has a Tony Kanaan edition open wheel rim for people too.
So lots of good products out of Gomez. I mean, you guys can actually watch his streams too, and I did post a link in the chat as well there for Gomez Industries if you guys want to take a look. His rims are really, really cool. And go ahead, Ameer.
That is another thing I forgot to mention too. Yeah, he streams Gomez. He streams him building his rims on Twitch, and to me that's like the perfect ASMR. Like if you're just sitting there wanting to relax, or if you're doing your homework or doing work or whatever, just have him up in the background, just watching him plugging away at building all these rims.
It's better than Amaranth, right? That's the main thing.
We're not gonna go there. No.
All right. So it pretty much got the Gomez one under control now. So I'm gonna move us along a little bit just to keep us rolling into our pedals here. So again, guys, if you guys want to take a look, Cube Controls Gomez, of course, they have their own website, so you guys can take a look. I did post Gomez's there. I know that one's a little bit harder to find if you're not the Google warrior. Pedals, though, we're gonna start off with Heusinkveld.
Before you go there, sorry, Joa. Yeah, thank you, Joa, for reminding me about Sim Metal. So Sim Metal. To be honest, when I first walked around the Sim Expo, I didn't see them because they weren't didn't have actually their own booth. Like Sim Metal and Sim Magic, they didn't really have their own booth. They were part of Actor Racing, and so unless you actually paid attention to what products they had in their booth, you would have never really known. But again, they make round rims, they make open butterfly rims too, but I tried out their round rim with the button box and everything, and that was another great rim. And to see that was out there with the, the buttons were super solid, the rotaries were amazing too, just like all these new hire companies, and for a lot cheaper too than what you would think. But yeah, thank you Joe for reminding about them. A lot of it, I'm surprised, man. I'm loving these new options that are coming out with our sim racing equipment. It's amazing, because when I went to it 3-4 years ago, you didn't see products like this. It was, you had that was kind of the time when Thrustmaster, Logitech were like the kings of wheelbases, and to see this change, to see the amount of people jumping into sim racing, building this equipment that just feels so good in your hands. It's something that you want to sit there and have in your, you're thinking you're actually driving a real race car. So it's great to see stuff like that coming out in the sim industry, and I hope it continues that way too. And we start getting better and better products at a more affordable prices too.
It does seem to be getting better, that's for sure. Thanks for catching that, Joe. Appreciate you. And Ameer, good on you for grabbing it. All right, so again, Heusinkveld, they had a huge booth. There was a lot going on there, a lot of stuff. And I mean, that's a piece of equipment that we're all familiar with. So kick it off, Ameer.
Yeah, they had most of their accessories. They had, they had their sprint pedals. They had their ultimate pedals out there. The newest thing that they're showing off was their new load cell handbrake. So I don't know if Devin, if you have the picture up showing off their new handbrake. Okay, cool, no worries. But if you see, so if you see that picture, so that you can actually have it in 2 different configurations, kind of like how you do with the Thrustmaster handbrake. So, and it depends on how you have your rig set up. So you can have it laying flat, horizontally with the handbrake down like you would see in a normal car. That way you can mount it vertically on your rig, or you have the horizontal configuration to where you can have it by your side and it's straight up, and you push it back and forth. Felt it was probably the best feeling handbrake that I've felt that's out there. And they incorporated new technology, new software that's out there to make this new handbrake, and it was great. Like, now it's got me thinking about, because originally I was thinking about getting an Iologs handbrake that they have, but this one just felt so smooth with its load cell that I just don't know if I could go for anything else anymore. And they had the setup in the rig where you could try it out. In the rally, one of the rigs they had was a rally rig where you could try out the handbrake, and it felt really great. It was great to see them coming out with something new, instead of just focusing on their old handbrake that they had.
I need to get a handbrake.
Yeah, the rally guys will get a kick out of this handbrake. I can tell you guys that.
Yeah, I need to get a handbrake. But again, it's like, I was looking at the Thrustmaster one because I have all Thrustmaster stuff, but it still seems like the stuff is overpriced. And I know we're getting to the motion rig stuff, and have a little bit to say about that type of technology too. But it's great that they're coming out with so many cool pedals and rims and handbrakes. I still feel like they're at a certain level, and they need to bring that technology. They need to bring all the good stuff down to the lower level. So we don't need any more super hypercars. We need some more Toyota Corollas, for everybody. Everybody can afford. Everybody's get a decent thing. More leather wrapped stuff that's going to last. That's just my opinion, but I like where it's going, and it will trickle down.
It will, and considering what we've had for handbrakes before, whereas mostly like a button click or not load cell. Right. I think we're getting there. Just going to take time before these prices start going down. Like, you're starting to see it with the rims. Like before, if you wanted to get a cube control rim, or a precision rim, you're gonna be spending $2 to $4 grand on something like that. Where now, like, you go to Gomez and you can get a rim for about $1 grand that does the same exact thing. I think we're getting there. It's just gonna take some time. But there is one product, I'm not gonna say what it is right now, that pricing wise is probably the best thing I ever tried at the expo, and that's coming out of me. But we'll get to it when we get to it. Yeah.
Okay.
We can move it on. So next up is back to Cube Controls again, because they have some things that are coming out that are not rims with screens on them. Maybe they're going to put screens somewhere else, but I somewhat doubt it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we talked about it. Their new pedal set they're coming out with. And racing socks. If you're into racing socks, they're coming out with racing socks too. Everybody needs a good pair of racing socks. But yeah, their pedals. They had their pedals out on display. There was a lot of people at the Cube Control booth, so I didn't really get to try the rig. I don't know if they had their pedals on the rig themselves, but they look gorgeous from how they're made. It's your typical, there you see in the picture right there. It's your Cube Controls design looks, I don't want to say futuristic, but looks very modern.
Huge pedal plates.
Yeah, huge pedal plates. I talked to, who was it that I was talking to? I think I was talking to Random Call Sign about it, and he enjoyed them. He thought they were great. So I'm going off of what he's saying. I didn't really get a chance to try them out. But they look beautiful. They look gorgeous. They're coming out with the brake pedal, gas pedal, and the clutch. All they had showing off right there was just their gas pedal and their brake, but they're gonna have a three set too.
They got a really cool pedal face on them. It's an interesting shape, very different. I like it. What do we got from SimTag? They've also got some new pedals coming out here.
SimTag, yes, SimTag. So they are probably one of the originals that started making the hydraulic pedals. Very pricey hydraulic pedals. So they are now coming out with haptic feedback hydraulic pedals. And if you don't know what haptic feedback is, it's kind of so like your PS4 controller, when you're shooting or whatever, they start shaking. So I'm sorry,
like it simulates the ABS, right?
Right, so it simulates your ABS. It simulates if you're, if you lock up your wheels, it's the little thing starts rotating to give you those vibrations, let you know what's going on. The Fanatec pedals, the CSWs, V3s have them. So if you have the V3s, you know what I'm talking about. But now they're bringing them to their line of hydraulic pedals. And to be honest, that's one of the things. Like, I used to have V3s before I got my Ripnotech hydraulics. And that's probably the number one thing I miss out of my pedals. I just don't have that haptic feedback to let me know what's really going on, versus having my rim telling me everything. Like, it was great having that added feature of my brake pedal itself telling me what was going on, what the car was doing. I felt great on the rig when I tried it. It was just amazing. Like, it had a lot of power to it, so you actually knew what you were doing on those on the rig with those pedals. Like, you felt it when you locked up your brakes, you could feel that thing going off, like crazy, like you're simulating, like, how you'd the screeching. So it was great. It's great to see people using incorporating different technologies and stuff that they already have. It's not newer technology, but it's combining two great technologies into one to make a great product. Yeah. Okay, so going off of them, so from there, the next set of people that were showing off a new product and a new set of pedals was InSim. So if you've never heard of InSim are a company that's based out of Portugal. They create this compact motion rig, and it's a gorgeous rig, probably the best looking motion rig I've ever looked at, probably, and even the best motion rig I've ever tried. And they're all about the racers. They want to make sure sim racers are knowing exactly what the car is doing. And the big difference.
You tried that? You tried the motion?
Yep, I have them.
And it wasn't over the top, like Sean says. They usually make them over the top, but this was scaled correctly.
Yes, so that was the big thing. I enjoy the hell out of InSim. Every time they're at the Sim Expo, I enjoy the hell out of them. Their biggest philosophy is making sure the sim racer knows what's going on with the car at all times. So they incorporate, they got their actuators, they got butt kickers, 4 butt kickers on their rig, on each side of the rig to let the driver know what's going on. The seat tilts, the rig moves sideways, left and right, up and down, all that thing. And yes, they don't go overboard. And my biggest complaint has been about all these expos or all these shows is everybody's trying to show off how strong their motion is or how strong their feedback is on their wheelbases.
Yeah.
But except for InSim just wants to sit there and it's like, hey, this is what our rig does. This is how it gets set up at your house if you end up buying one.
Yeah.
And
it's not an amusement ride.
Right, exactly.
It's trying to give you the realistic feel.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in it, and a lot of people know how I feel about Assetto Corsa, but they run a lot of Assetto Corsa on their stuff. And so if you can make Assetto Corsa feel amazing, to me, I think you are doing a fantastic job with your products and making it outperform anything that's out there. But getting, I know, right, Devin? But one of the biggest things about InSim has always been, the thing that they make rigs for a certain crowd of people, a certain tier of people. So what they're doing is they want to make something more affordable for the average sim racer.
Yes, please.
And so they're starting off with a new set of pedals, also load cell pedals. So it was great. They had their, one of the pictures you'll see the table with their pedals on there. So they're making your regular sitting pedals, and they're making an inverted set of pedals. Well, I'm sorry, it's one pedal, but you could do both. And you can either have it, sit in normal style, or you can have it sitting inverted, depending on how you want it set up. So they're making, a one fits all kind of thing. Which is great because they were showing off different pedal faces, so they're actually having the sim racers give their feedback on what type of faces they like, and getting people's feedback on how the pedals felt. So they had their new pedals put on their motion rig, and for them being in prototype currently, they're so amazing, they're so great. The minute I jumped into the car, it took me 1 lap to get used to those pedals, and I'm sitting there trail braking like I've never trail braked before, even on my hydraulic pedals. I knew exactly where the brake pedal angle was, how much pressure I was putting on it, and they're load cell pedals. I don't know if I mentioned that. They're load cell pedals. But it was great to see how good of trail brake I was doing, and my lap times were super consistent every single time I was driving with those pedals. It was great to see just after, because I spent about 20-30 minutes on that rig, and towards the end, like my last 6 laps were just, within hundreds of tenths of each other. It was great to see that, knowing exactly what the car was doing, and I can't wait for these pedals to come out, and I don't know. It got me thinking maybe to replace my hydraulics with these pedals. I don't know. I might do it.
Yeah, one of the other things that I saw from the pictures was the adjustability. Like they're making them so that you don't need a tool. Like you can just unscrew the cap, pull it off, take the spring out, put a different spring, or even moving them,
Yeah, so
super easy.
I don't want to get too deep into it because I have a demonstration video that I'm going to release on the channel too, showing off. The guy's giving me this whole presentation about how adjustable and how quick the pedals are. Like when I'm sitting there, like when he's adjusting, he had me doing the clutch. It's like, all right, hey man, the clutch is a little hard. He's like, okay, you want it softer? He's like, click, 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 bam. The clutch pedal was super soft. Same thing with
people should subscribe to the channel now so they don't miss that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So next week we'll be releasing a lot of videos to show off some of the things that I saw and talked to. Huh? Yeah. So, but yeah, great. And then after, so yeah, just watch out for that. Watch out for that, the demonstration for those pedals. And if you're looking for a new set of pedals, I would wait for these to come out. And we're gonna get a set for review for those. And the other guys that were showing off a new set of pedals too was Raceworks. So Raceworks, they've been around for a while. They first got into the SimExpo 2. They were really big. They came out of the scene when the SimExpo 2s were coming out. They were probably the sole provider at first before anybody else got them. And the guy that runs Raceworks, Attila, he used to make the pedals for SimTag. And he wanted to branch out and start doing his own thing. So he made the V1 pedals, last year, and now he's releasing the V2 pedals. There were some issues with the original set of pedals because he used to get them manufactured in China, but since then, at the beginning of, or in the middle of last year, I believe, he shifted his production from China to Germany. So all of his pedals now are made in Germany, manufactured there, put together. And so he's just showing off he was showing off those set of pedals, and then he was showing off they're releasing new inverted pedals too for your rig. So if you're looking for an inverted set of pedals, they're great, they're out there. And the big thing is you have a lot of different colors to choose from. You can get them anodized in whatever color you want, so you can get them to match your rig. If you want to customize the color of your rig, you can get them in virtually almost any color you want when you order those pedals. And again, these pedals felt great too when I tried them out. They're hydraulic. For hydraulic pedals, they felt on par with the SimTag pedals. And then, when you're talking about SimTag, you're talking about $2,000 to $3,000 set of pedals. And these guys are a lot cheaper. Yeah.
Yeah. Since you brought up the color thing, one of the other things that I noticed was they seem to be pushing away from the 80-20 rig type things and going to more of a tubular design. Now, I understand that from a business perspective, and I'll bring this back to the color here in a second, but I have an 80-20 rig now. I love it, and I understand why they want to move to the tubular ones, because it keeps you in their ecosystem. If you want to buy a keyboard tray, well, you can't just bolt it on anywhere like at 80-20. They're going to keep you in their ecosystem if you have a tubular type frame chassis. Hold on, but I still think the answer is, again, the Toyota Corolla is the 80-20 rig, and it's so flexible, and you can add on whatever you want. But if they bring out the colors like they did with the pedals there, I could see, I happen to like green, all green rig with green pedals and all that other stuff to match. It'd be fantastic. But I think that's where they should go, not, let's redesign the rig so that we keep people in this ecosystem.
Yeah. So when talking to, so you see it now with SimLab. So SimLab, they're the kings of 80-20 rigs, and now they've released their RaceX brand of rigs, and they're going to a tubular design.
Yeah.
So actually, their biggest reason for switching to more of a tubular design is a lot of people won't do 80-20 because it doesn't look good to them.
It's too industrial looking.
It's too industrial looking. It doesn't feel like you're sitting in a car cockpit. You're sitting in something that is very angular, very industrial looking. So a lot
might be the reason they give.
It could be, but they want to release a lot prettier looking rigs that will, people that are on the fence of buying a new rig, moving away from their desk setup into getting a rig setup that, hey, here's this pretty tube looking rig that's very, it's got curves and not too many angles to it, to get the people that are looking for a pretty rig. They don't necessarily want an 80-20.
I understand what they're doing, but to reach a bigger market, matter of fact, if you look at the 80-20 rig, half of this could be built already and folded into a flat box. I mean, if they would make it so imagine the 12-year-old, or let's say Elvis Rankin, right? He's a younger racer, but let's say you have a younger type person. They need something that they can, this 80-20 would last them forever. And if it would come half assembled and make it easier to put together, it's like a lot of kids that maybe don't have anybody to help them build something could put something easy together, that's where I want to see them go. Stop, making everything so high end, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think when I was talking to Richard from SimLab, like the rigs, the RaceX, their tubular design is not going to be, it's going to be priced within the P1 range. It's not going to be super expensive or anything like that. But I mean, you'll be surprised at how many people I talk to that don't like the 80/20 design. They don't like the look of it. I have an 80/20. I love it. And you and me, Devin, we've been talking about all these mods I've been wanting to do it with it to make it look more like a cockpit of a race car. It's just going to take a lot more work than the tubular design. But that's why, to me, that's why I love the beauty of 80/20 rigs is the modability of it. The amount of adjustability you have, the things you can do with it is, it's limited by your imagination, essentially. So that's really it. Where tubular design, where you're stuck with certain things you can and can't do.
Yeah, to kind of close that one out, I kind of look at that as like you got like the Lego chassis, the guys that want Lego and the guys who build the Gundams and that kind of thing. You're looking for that, you want to do it yourself kind of deal. You're going to go with the 80/20s, but the guys who want to put it in the living room and their wife has to deal with it, they're going to be tube frame. I don't want to let... Pardon?
So you laugh at that, like the biggest thing, biggest two people I've talked to were Tiago from InSim and Richard from SimLab. They were talking. The big thing they mentioned was, oh, we want to build rigs that make the wives happy.
Yeah, that's the big one. Really quickly, so there's a question here. I just want to catch it before I miss it. So what did you see? What was the most unusual thing you saw? Whether there were cup holders or something weird like that, the rags under the rig, weird stuff just sitting around the lobby or whatever. But if you can, particularly anything that was like odd at the show, or even if it's just like those pedals are very neat looking, maybe that's the oddest thing you saw. But what was the oddest thing you saw?
Nothing really odd was really out there that was out of the blue that made me go, that made me tilt my head to the side a little bit. I did, the two things that really stood out to me that made me go, ooh, look at that, were the Venom carbon fiber pedals, which there's a picture, I don't know if it's there. The Venom,
was like the V shape. Didn't they have like a weird...
Yeah, they had like a little angle to where like they're right next to each other, then they angled out.
Right.
So these guys, they're a French company. They race in Formula 3. I think there's Formula 3 France or something like that. It's not like the actual official Formula 3, but it's one of the Formula series is in France. So, yep, there's a picture of them with their Formula 3, one of their Formula 3 cars. So this year they just branched into sim racing, and they're releasing a set of pedals. You can see like the different colors you can get with your pedals. What really threw me out there was their carbon fiber set of pedals. I'm used to metal or plastic pedals, but to see those gorgeous looking carbon fiber, I'm a carbon fiber guy, like really threw me out there. That was like, wow, these things look gorgeous. I want a set of those pedals. Like I want carbon fiber on my rig now. I'm not happy with just metal and aluminum. I want carbon fiber.
So that was probably the best segue we've had so far. We were actually planning on going into Venom. The carbon pedals, those also amaze me. Ameer, Dave, rather, what do you think about them making the carbon? Did you get a good look at them and the different colors and stuff like that? Again, going back to the colors in the poor man's pedals.
I did. I see them. They don't really appeal to me. Again, I'm more about, they need to be functional. They need to be long lasting. They need to be, they need to work, and they need to work well. I don't really care what they look like. And again, my wife isn't in my rig. She's not in my room. This is my room. So it's like, I don't have to please her with how it looks or anything like that. And I don't really care what it looks like either, because I'm in VR half the time.
Right. I don't know if they're going to be releasing them for purchase, or they're just showing off what they can do. I'm really interested by how they would feel when you're actually using them, because usually when you're racing with pedals, like you feel a sense of weight to them. and with carbon fiber, they're so light. Like, you know, like on race cars, real race cars, GT3 race cars or DTM cars, you know, you can lift the whole door with 2 fingers, you know, with, you know, a couple of fingers, because they're so light. So imagine something that small. So like, I don't know how you can incorporate weight feeling in the set of pedals like that, but they look gorgeous. They look pretty. They're the ones that really stood out to me with like, oh, I gotta look at this a lot deeper and closer. Yeah, I'm
really sharp
carbon fiber guy.
They are really sharp looking. I do wonder, like you say, about the weight and potentially even maybe some flex, right? A lot of time carbon fiber is designed in certain ways to flex in certain ways, so depending on how it's built and how much research they put in, there might be a bit of twist or something that they weren't expecting. So there are some things there to work out. But speaking of looks, I mean, let's move on to Fanatec here. We're about halfway through our topics, a little bit under that, and about halfway to go in the show, so I want to get her moving. We've got a few things under Fanatec here. The CSL DD and the rims as well. Dave, did you have something to say before we move on?
Yeah, just to Bucho, you know, it's like, why do so many people, or why do so many companies make hypercars? Well, because they only need to sell one to make a profit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's that same type of mentality. And it's like, okay, but I want more people in sim racing. I want more people to have their own sim rig or their own dedicated area. I want more people to enjoy this hobby that we enjoy. And I would like to see more Americans out on the track too. I'd like to see more American companies. I wish they'd have a Sim Expo in America where I could go. I'm so jealous, you know, of everyone who gets to go in Germany. But anyway, that's what I want. So I want, you know, them to focus. And I understand you have to have the high-end stuff and it'll trickle down eventually. I'm just very impatient. I'm not getting any younger.
No. So I think that, no, you're right, David. But seeing the amount of new vendors that were at the expo this year showing off their new products, I think we're going to start seeing prices and designs, you know, more designs coming out and prices going down for these people to start competing. You know, now we're starting to see competition between these different companies, because before you had maybe, you know, you had 3, 4, or 5 companies that were competing against each other. They could keep their prices high. Now we're starting to see companies lower their, you know, we're starting seeing companies lower their prices and come out with more products. And
Speaking
I think
of Fanatec,
the biggest thing, yeah, exactly. getting into Fanatec, they were showing off their new CSL DD, which is, you know, a cheap entry into the DD realm.
A welcome step in the right direction.
Very welcome step, because, you know, most people can't afford a DD, and seeing now, you know, people, you know, average sim racers able to get into now the DD realm is amazing, is great.
Since we're talking about the DD from Fanatec, I'd like to point out, like, a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people praising it, and they're like, oh, but you need to buy the boost kit. Okay, I think, I don't really know how they would say this, but you know, if they would have said, okay, the Fanatec DD is for younger people, right? Because it's only 5 Newton meters. And so you have all these other YouTubers that I'm sure you've all seen, you know, and they're like, oh, don't buy this unless you get the boost kit. You need the boost kit and all this other stuff. And it's like, I just think the messaging could have been better from them, because it does feel like, if, you know, as an adult, grown man, you want more the power. So you know, it almost feels like a slap in the face to then have to buy the boost kit, which I feel like the DD wheel is a great price, but the boost kit is like overpriced, right? So it's like, you had me at here, but why can't you give me the 8 Newton meter power? But again, if they would have said, okay, this is for younger people or our younger crowd, but they didn't say that.
No, they didn't say that. But so one of the things, so they had a kind of like a Franken rig put together, and this is kind of where it kind of turned me into a believer of why they did what they did. So they had a Franken rig set up. So they had the new Logitech rim set up. Right next to it was the CSL DD with just the 5 Newton meters, and then right after that they had the new Thrustmaster rim wheelbase. Devin, you can tell me what model it is. I can't remember what model it is. I can't remember.
I'll watch for it and I'll call it.
And then right next to it, they had the CSL DD with the power pack, the 8 Newton meter. and you get to spend 2-3 laps on each wheelbase, and then you slide over to the next wheelbase. So with the Logitech,
TGT2. Sorry.
The Thrustmaster TG2, TGT T2. There you go. So with the Logitech rim, you sat in it. I mean, you feel the notchiness. It's just how Logitech. It's a gear-driven wheelbase. Not much more to say other than that than true force. But and then you moved over to the 5 Nm. So the 5 Nm wheel felt great. Like, it felt amazing. But you're right, it lacked power. It was very smooth, but it lacked power. I felt like I was overpowering that wheelbase a lot of times when I was driving the car. And so yeah, to me, like for a kid, probably a great product to use for them. But for an adult like us, I wouldn't. Yeah, if that's what that DD was, I would never use it on my home rig. From there, you jump into the Thrustmaster TGT2, which is their new belt-driven wheelbase, which I was very surprised with, Devin. It felt great. It felt amazing. I know you're a Thrustmaster guy, so thumbs up to that product. Then you jumped into the Fanatec CSL DD with the power pack, and oh my gosh, I was blown away by how great it felt. The power to me was just perfect. I could feel everything that was going on with the car. I felt every sensation, every motion that we'd feel out of a DD base in a smaller package. So if you're a guy that's thinking about getting into DD and you've been looking at the CSL DD, I can't recommend it enough, really, to be honest, by how great it felt. And when
you think the extra power is overpriced, though?
So we're getting into it. I'll get back to my previous thought, how I was going with it, because 2 years ago I was at the Fanatec booth and I tried out their DD line when they first came out. I did not like it at all. It felt incomplete, didn't feel right compared to the other DD offerings. To be honest, where the CSW 2.5 was the best rim that they had set up in their Franken rig at the time. So I went in there with very low expectations. So that's probably why I was so blown away with it, because getting into it, feeling it was just amazing. So overpriced? No, because if you look at it compared to the price of the Thrustmaster TGT-T2, which is I think, Devin, correct me if I'm wrong, is $749.
Yeah, I
American.
was going to jump in on this part anyways. That is one of the things where right now Thrustmaster is losing. If you want to, give people, win the whatever loss kind of deal. Right now, I mean, obviously Logitech's, they're kind of way back at the moment. They have been for years, but they're even with their pricing now, they're kind of out to lunch. The Fanatec CSL DD pricing is the perfect spot for what it is, and it was mentioned in the chat here. If you're somebody that's running more on a budget, and I get that, you guys know how I am, you can buy things at one at a time, right? So it might cost you more to get the base and to get the power supply separately than if you get it in a bundle, but you can take those two purchases and spread them out over a year or a few months or whatever it is that you need to do to make that possible. Whereas again, like you said, and you brought me in there, the TGT2 it's $750, something like that. It's rather expensive, so it's going to be a bit before we see TM stuff start to come down to a more level pricing with the licensing on the TGT2 and all that kind of stuff. So we'll have to see the market shake up a little bit. With the bases kind of covered, I just want to push you guys over onto the rims as well while you were on them. We got the BMW one in the pictures and a few more else on there as well. I'm really excited for the Bentley one, to be honest. That's
dude, that Bentley rim, oh my gosh, that thing's a work of art. To get it set straight, so for it's advertised as their Bentley GT3 rim, but it's actually their Bentley GT3 hill climb rim, the one they actually used for the hill climb a couple months ago, or about 6-7 months ago. It was made for their hill climb car. It wasn't made for their GT3 car, because I think Bentley is leaving GT3 racing at the end of this year. But as you see the Bentley car, that rim, oh my gosh, it felt solid. It felt great. The thing that really amazed me about it, it's kind of like has a gyroscope in it. So when you tilted the rim to either direction, the display stayed centered and horizontal. So no matter how much you turn the rim, you always see your displays looking at you right away. Oh man, that was to me like that made me that tickled me. That was great.
2 questions on that. The first one, is it smooth? Like you turn the rim, it's a smooth transition. It's not notchy. It stays even good.
It's there's a tad bit of notchiness, but I think when you're racing, you're not gonna notice it.
Okay, and the second question.
But when you're staring at it and looking at it, yes, you can sense a little bit of notchiness.
Can I put it on an analog clock?
So yeah, it's got a clock.
It is an analog clock.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all. As long as I can have an analog clock on my Bentley rim in my sim racing rig at home.
I gotta tell you, the Bentley rim does not appeal to me at all. I mean, and you've seen all the memes on it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not appealing to me at all. I think they're going in the wrong direction.
Well, I think it's just different crowds, right, David? Like there's.
Well, I like what they did with the BMW. Again, the GT4 rim, right?
I don't like the BMW rim. I hate it.
Right.
I think it's ugly too.
Yeah.
I think it's ugly too. It's got a fat bottom, but like not in like the good like queen fat bottom girls kind of way, you know? Like it's just kind of like a dumpy baby. It's a full diaper.
No, the Bentley rim was great. So I mean, if you're looking for an overpriced analog clock to hang on your wall, that's the clock for you.
I'm down. I love it. I don't have to buy any Fanatec products. I just have to buy a power supply and that rim. We'll put it right here. Got a whole
it was great seeing that rim out there. It was great seeing them showing off both their BMW rim and their Bentley rim. Because that's 2 of their newest products, along with the CSL DD that's coming out that they're doing. Because going into this, I know there was a lot of questions about, them saying that these are rims that are actually used on real cars. And I think by them being there and people being able to touch them and feel them and try them out on their rigs, silenced a lot of their critics. Like, I would say, yes, these are actually rims that I would put that could be in a race car. Now, the pricing of the rims, that's another story. I don't think they're going to be for the everyday sim racer or the the Fanatec, the moderate to mid-level Fanatec users. I think they're going to be a lot pricier than what people think they are. But we'll see. I don't know. I could be proven wrong. I was proven wrong with these rims saying that there's got to be a different version for the race cars and a version for sim racers, but I was wrong about that. So we'll see.
It's gonna be like Ferrari. You're gonna have to, like, the CSL DD will let you buy like the McLaren rim, and then once you get the DD1, you're allowed to buy the BMW. But you got to buy the DD2 before you can get the Bentley, right? You can't have an analog clock on a DD1. That's just heresy, right?
Yeah, all that center stuff is kind of gimmicky, especially in VR. Who's gonna see it?
That's okay. That's one thing. Yeah, there does need to be like a VR rim. Like there's a lot. Like the Asher racing wheels are all really close. They have a really nice layout. They're fairly comfortable. But somebody needs to like sit in a VR headset and just perfectly find out the ergonomic points for your thumbs to naturally reach and put buttons all over it. I agree with that. We do need like a VR rim.
Yeah, VR rim. That's what we need.
DKR does say that the refresh rate will be more smooth on the actual
rim
when it comes to it.
I was trying to type back to him since you guys were talking about. Okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for letting me know that, DKR. Again, like if you're sitting in a rig, you're not going to really sense that at all because you're more focused on the actual racing versus looking like, oh, is my display notched? But yeah. Yeah, so I think we've covered rims, wheelbases, pedals. I think the only thing that's really left to talk about is rigs. I think a lot of people had some rigs to show off.
A lot of motion rigs there, right?
Yeah, so first off, we got SimLab. They've got a new tube frame profile chassis coming out called the RaceX. So we're talking about these like rigs for your wife, right? This is like a rig for you, the Lego man, but with aspects for your wife. It's like it's like when you get the fireplace that's like you wanted a fireplace, but your wife didn't want wood smoke, so you got a gas fireplace. This is what we're talking here.
Yeah, it's a beautiful looking rig. I liked it a lot, and it's got aspects to it to where, you can still add 80/20 to it to add.
It's got 80/20 running down the side, so you have your movability and your mountability for your shifters and stuff.
Exactly. So you can have full
And cup holder. Don't forget the cup holder.
I use my cup holder every day.
Oh, me too.
I've got two.
I can't believe I waited so long to install
Right.
it.
But yeah, I mean, RaceX, they're I guess like I don't know what you call like, not a different category of SimLab, but you know they're a different branch of SimLab that are trying to make nicer looking things. I don't want to even say nicer looking things because I love how their 80/20s look, but more appealing to the crowd that love curves.
You say aesthetically pleasing, right? You're looking for
Aesthetically
Aesthetically pleasing, yeah.
Right.
I mean, it does look good. You can't argue with that.
Yeah.
It does set a little low to the ground for me, but
that's why you put it. Yeah, that's why you can put it on blocks.
oh, I have mine on caster wheels.
So actually, let's go to the polar opposite spectrum now. So we're talking about this SimLabs rig, very very nice, high customization. We kind of beat this one with beat it like a dead horse here. So, but on the polar opposite side, we have this Tornet thing. Now I only have the one photo for this. Again, growing pains. As the years go on, we'll get better photos. We have this for reference for next year. Okay, so bear with me. But you can see the picture on the left there of a rig attached to the back of a chair.
Right, so Tornet is a company that is making rigs for gamers or for people that don't have a lot of space. It's essentially this foldable rig that you attach to the back of your gaming chair, and when you're ready to sim race, you just unclip it, you know, make sure it's put into place, and you just put it in front of your TV and you start sim racing. I mean, to be honest, like I wanted to try them out, but I should have tried them out being a Simpit guy, but you know, my sim racer side was no, that thing, I don't want to talk negative about them because they looked very solid. They actually had a Fanatec DD wheelbase connected to it, and it looked very very sturdy from what people were trying it out. So they have the option to where you can buy the back part only, you know, the actual rig part, and connect it to any gaming chair that you have, or you could buy their gaming chair, and you could, you know, have it all hooked up and all in one package. I mean, for people that are, I think this is more for people that live in very confined spaces, small spaces that don't have a lot of place to store things. I mean, I think it's a decent option for people that are out there to take a look at. And
yeah, I see what they're trying to do. I mean, they're trying to think outside the box. They're like, okay, this guy works at a desk, but he wants to be able to use, flip it around and sim race right from the same thing. Now, again, like something like that would work for me because I replaced my monitor with a 55-inch TV, so that would work for me. But it's the same thing like when I used to mount my steering wheel to the desk, and when I wanted to race, and then I would have to unclamp it and move it, and you just get tired of doing that. If you're going to take sim racing seriously, or even if you just like sometimes I just like to drive around in Forza Horizon, just drive around. Or if I want to do VR, maybe Project Cars 2. I love to drive down the Pacific Coast Highway, or Assetto Corsa for that matter. But yeah, you get tired of swapping the thing around, and they're trying to make it easier. I understand what they're going for here, but if you're going to buy a wheel, and pedals, you need a dedicated sim space.
Right.
You're not going to use it as much as you think you would.
Yes and no. So I think the thing is, so I would say, like, in America, houses tend to be bigger, apartments tend to be big, so you have space to put things in most American homes, most American style living. You have bigger spaces, bigger areas to put things, whereas in Europe, people live in smaller areas, they live in smaller spaces to where they have to pick and choose what they can have in their apartments or in their homes. So I think this is more catered to those kind of people, to where they don't have a lot of space, where they need to fold it out, get it put out of the way,
Yeah.
and move on and start doing other things in their life. For those people, I think it looks like a great option for people that live in those kind of areas that enjoy sim racing, or are sim racers, but they just don't have the space to have a dedicated rig.
But to me, it looks like it would be a clumsy office chair, and it would be a clumsy sim rig, and
well,
it's like,
hey, though, just to be clear,
yeah.
that's your Corolla, dude. You've been talking about the
Yeah,
Corolla.
no,
You've been
I
talking
understand.
About, that's the Corolla. That is the Corolla. So you've been beating that one, and they are doing it. They are seeing it. Your voice is heard.
Yes, yeah. I understand. I understand what they're doing. And again, it's just like the playseat challenge, right? It's something that you can just fold and put out of the way. And I have a playseat challenge, and I really enjoyed that, but it eventually doesn't work for you.
Again, maybe when you grow into bigger spaces, it's not going to be a good fit anymore. But if you're living in small homes or apartments, I think it's probably a great fit for people. Yeah, Tofi, I'm using a headset mic. I don't have my big boy mic plugged in, so hopefully next time we do this, I'll have my big boy mic plugged in. I literally was at a different event, ran home to start doing this 3-wide, so we can sit there and talk about Sim Racing Expo before it was, it was too late and old stale news. Yeah.
Speaking of which, so we've seen SimLabs, their new tube frame profile. We've got Toranet. We've got our Corolla. We've also got a few big ones to get into, and we have a monitor as well. So we're gonna roll along a little bit here. We got about half an hour left in the show. So Veraco is the next one. These guys are a full solution chassis company. So these guys are gonna have not just the single rig, but also like computers, different packages, everything from motion to not. Ameer, again, if you want to kick it off, and maybe there's some Corolla talk on this one because they do have a lower end.
So this might tickle your ears a little bit, Dave. I hope so. So these guys will create any type of sim solution that you want. Not necessarily where they offer different packages. You got package A, package B, package C. These guys will do a complete custom setup to how you want things to be, depending on your budget. So they're a company that's based out of Belgium, and the owner's name is Jonas. I got to talk to him for a bit. So essentially, they sell you everything you want for a sim rig. So if you already have a PC, you already have a wheelbase, you already have that stuff, they'll sell you what you want, from a chassis to motion actuators to a triple display stand. If you're on single monitors and want to switch over to triples, they have monitors for you from all these different sizes. And they come to your house and set everything up for you too. And again, this is probably just like a Europe thing. If you want them to come out, they'll do it. If not, once you get the rig, you put it wherever you want it, and then you call them and they'll help you set everything up too. They don't use D-Box for their motion. I believe they use the SFX 1000, I believe, for their motion. But yeah, his biggest thing was he was tired of these companies that offer full sim rig solutions that force customers to buy a certain package. He wants to be very customizable, very based off of what the actual sim racer wants and needs. And again, depending on their budget too. So I tried the rig out. The rig was a little over the top when it came to their motion, but it felt great. Everything was set up perfect. When it came to the feedback on the wheel, everything on the rig itself. So if you're in Europe and you're thinking about building a rig, not building a rig, but like getting a complete solution for your house, I'd take a look at these guys and see what they have to offer, and they might surprise you with what they can do for you.
Okay, on the point of motion rigs, okay, it is appealing, especially, you think about like the dream, right, is like to have perfect VR, the wheel matches what you're racing in, and the motion with the rig. But what scares me, or what I find and the biggest barrier, is what if something goes wrong? What if it's just more things that you have to tweak and you have to get dialed in settings, and it's overwhelming for a guy that comes from the Xbox, right, where it's just like plug and play, everything works fine. And then you get on the PC and it's like this setting and you jump in the game and then you got all these settings, and it's just like another layer of stuff that you have to get dialed in. I'm not saying that once you get it dialed in, it won't be fantastic. I'm just saying it's one more thing that you've got to learn. It's one more thing that you've got to research. You know, that's my fear of motion sims.
No, you're right. Go ahead, Devin.
I was gonna say, so just kind of a note on that is like, I think if you give it time, that's no different than wheel rims, right? Wheel rims and using just force feedback in general, 15 years ago was crazy expensive. People were building their own things. If they, it's very hard to buy things. But as Thrustmaster and Fanatec, Logitech, as these companies evolve and start to get into more and more products, right? Fanatec now stepping to DD, Thrustmaster stepping to DD. I think we even saw a rumored Logitech DD of all things, right? It's not out of the realm of possibility to think that in another 10 to 15 years, Thrustmaster goes with a cheap budget motion thing, and also Next Level Racing, right? It's still expensive at around 2,500 to $3,000, but they do have the motion, the seat platform, right? And then they have the sliders that you can add to it. That kind of stuff is only going to come down in cost versus, obviously versus our income kind of thing with time. It might go up from where it is now, but the world's a weird place. But they are going to come down in price.
And that's the thing, though, like, and that's why if you're looking at motion, like, most people aren't going to go and build their own motion. They're going to go to a company that will help them set it up, and have a customer service line to help them troubleshoot if anything happens in the future. Unless you're Heiko, you're a crazy Heiko where you build everything yourself and you have to know how everything works, what size of bolt, and what 0.1 on your settings changes and everything like that. Just giving a nod to Heiko since he's correcting me on the motion. I can't remember what he actually told me, Heiko, but he offers a lot of different motion solutions depending on what you're looking for. I just mentioned SFX out there just because that's one of the things I remember him talking about.
Well, and so we're talking the SFX and the D-Box kind of style piston stuff. The next one we got here, the Evo motion simulators. This is the Mini Cruden. This thing is an absolute beast.
Oh, dude, this thing was crazy as hell to get in and out of. Like, I'm felt like I'm jumping into a spider web and waiting for the spider to come and attack me. Yeah, it was interesting to see the amount of motion you get out of something like that. Like, it's something that a D-Box or an SFX just can't do. Because you're literally just suspended by those actual. That's the base, but then you're suspended, and how the rig moves and churns, and you get every single.
And it moves the screens with you.
Yes.
Yes.
So you can see how
it's beefy.
How beefy and how supported the monitors are. That way they don't fall off as you're doing your motion. I don't even bother asking these guys about the price. It's
got to be super expensive.
It's super expensive, but it was great jumping into this Mini Cruden rig and trying it out and getting all the different sensations of motion. So if you got a lot of money,
it's one of those rigs where if you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Exactly, right?
Those are the type of things like people buy and they take them to, racing events and stuff like that. And, you pay $25 for, a 15-minute ride. Right. But there's probably somebody that's going to buy it and put it in their house, right?
Right. I mean, if somebody has a lot of money to throw on, is going to buy something like that. I don't even imagine like he had the triple screen set up. I can't even imagine how this thing would feel with VR. Now you're feeling everything.
James, just said something about really good VR will do. You like VR already forces your body to think you're moving sometimes, and you find yourself jiggling and leaning when you're driving. Right. With this kind of system, and you guys were talking about the overdone thing. That's one thing with this system as well, is with those large pistons, it's kind of like using a belt wheel, right? You hear me at least often talk about direct drive wheels where if you don't take the time to really set them up, they're too sharp. There's too much strength. Whereas the belt wheels tend to dampen it. This is kind of like the opposite in terms of expense, but the same kind of thing in terms of effect. When you have such large pistons, they cannot move quite as quickly. Like, I mean, they move pretty fast. It's still pretty instant, but it's not as sharp, right? There's a softness to it, a dampening to it that you don't get with a smaller piston, unless you really set it up, right? It's the same thing as I was saying with the real rims. You can take a D-Box and set it up to be smooth, but it's not going to give you the versatility of this thing. And for flight sims, if you guys are flight sims guys, I mean, just outstanding.
I can't even imagine how a flight sim would behave on that thing. Oh my gosh, I would never sim race again, probably. Yeah, it was great trying something out like that. That's one thing I love about expos. Like, yeah, there's a lot of things you can't afford, but you get to try a lot of things, which is awesome. Yeah. One day maybe when I become a millionaire, I might, I might get one of those.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Well, and they might come down in price when you retire.
maybe. It was great seeing something like that out there, man. It was amazing. But yeah, I think that's all I really have to say about Evo. If you ever get a chance to jump into a mini crewing system, just jump into it and try it out just to see how it feels.
Well, and our last one is going to be BenQ and their Mobius monitors. So this is where we're finishing off in terms of hardware for this one. BenQ is coming out. It's not an ultra, it's not a super ultra wide. It's just a regular ultra wide curve kind of deal. 144 hertz.
So they have, BenQ. So they got their Mobius line, which is their gaming line for monitors. So they're making all different sizes. They're making 27-inch, 29-inch, 32-inch, 35-inch monitors. They're supposed to be, Ultra HD 4K monitors, or 2K, I believe. I can't remember if they're 4K or 2K. 144 megahertz refresh rate. And this is kind of like what I have, like their BenQ EX32Rs, which were billed as sim racing monitors. And this is just their newest model coming out that's replacing, their older gen EX models that were made for gaming. Most of the rigs had them out there. They look great. They look amazing. They're incorporating more technology into it to increase the smoothing, the lessen the tearing from the monitor itself, and not have to heavily rely on graphics cards too. I believe their FreeSync 2, or the newest FreeSync that's out there. There's 4 or 5 different technologies that they've incorporated into this monitor to make it, the ultimate gaming monitor that's out there. Like these are the Cadillacs of monitors. So if you're been thinking about BenQ, you're gonna be paying a decent price, a lot more than some of the other monitors, but I think it's well worth it for BenQs. I have my BenQs and I love them. I don't know if I'm willing to pay the price to upgrade my BenQs to the new ones. But yeah, you can go check out BenQ on their website. They're under their new Mobius line, and they explain in detail what those monitors do and what they're capable of. Yeah, great. I just kind of felt bad that they were kind of tagged with Next Level Racing. Like no knock on Next Level Racing. They make great rigs for for the crowd that they're going after, but seeing like these top of the line monitors, I think they should have gone with the big boys of the sim rigs, not just there. It was great to see, like now, not just talking about sim racing hardware, but talking about like gaming hardware also was, had a presence there too. It was great.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot of sim title stuff. We got the hardware, and we do have some esports stuff. So we're gonna kind of close it out here. We got about 15-20 minutes left to go here.
Yeah. Okay, but a quick comment on the monitors though. The monitor technology is moving really fast. So
yep.
I recently just bought this. It's a 43-inch 4K 144 hertz monitor. It's I think Acus or something. But anyway, the point is that the stuff is coming down in price. It's getting better. The high frame rate, and I have my 3080 card now, and I can run this at 4K 144 hertz. Looks fantastic. So, but it's another monitor. I'm surprised we didn't see there any more the 49-inch super ultra wide stuff. I'm surprised we didn't see any new VR technology there. And the other thing that when you're talking about motion sims, I just want to go real quick. Remember that like bowl-shaped one? Yeah. That was kind of like an affordable one. I'm surprised there wasn't some kind of upper scale of that thing, like it developed to the next level. I'm just surprised we didn't see some of that stuff.
Yeah, I think. So was there talking to one of the organizers? I think the biggest problem with a lot of these companies coming out there was because of COVID. Yeah. Because I was very surprised to not see R Factor 2 there. I was surprised to not see iRacing there, because last year iRacing had a massive booth.
Yeah.
The only
Well,
people
it's
that were
definitely a
really-
factor. It is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
factor. Sign of the times.
Right, Wave Italy wasn't there. There was even some European companies that were been there the previous years weren't there. Like JCI, their French-making sim rig company, they weren't there. And Next Level Racing, like they usually have their own booth. They were kind of tag team with BenQ. So Sim Magic was teamed up with Actor Racer.
Wait,
to show
one
off-
comment about Next Level though. That new 80/20 rig that they have really looks good, and that wasn't there.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, and I think
It's
it's
strange,
down to
right?
COVID, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
It was interesting to see. I was sad to not see some of their former people come back to the expo, because I felt, because there's a lot of space in the arena where they do the Sim Racing Expo, because there's the front side, then there's a giant kind of like hallway, and then there's another side that's about the same size as the front. So when I went there 3 years, like both sides were filled up. They had the arena open for their esports and everything. And seeing it at a smaller scale, it essentially was down to COVID, I believe.
Yeah.
The only software company that was really had a presence there was 505 Games, with ACC. And I believe that's down to the esports. Like most of the esports that were ran
ACC.
on ACC.
Yeah.
So you had the ADAC Professional Cup,
And of course the Nürburgring.
right?
Yeah.
So it was weird to see only one sim title that was there versus like a couple years, 2 years ago I saw a lot of them there. RaceRoom had a presence because they have the RaceRoom Cafe.
Right.
So
One other thing too, before we leave the expo part,
Mhm.
sim rig seats. I don't feel like they get enough love either. And now I've had the type that has the recliner built-in type thing, where you can recline the back. And this one is an NRG shell seat. But we're starting to see some interesting like F1 style, like really thin. And again, I'd like to see more of these shell type seats because they're super comfy. Like I see you have a Sparko.
Yeah.
And it's like let's get them a little more comfy. They don't need the bolsters. It's a sim rig, right?
Yeah.
They want to take like a race car. They're like, oh, you have to take a race car seat and put it on your sim rig. I want a comfortable sim racing rig seat is what I want. I don't need to have something so my helmet doesn't bang against the window because I'm not wearing a helmet, right?
Right. No, so last year they had not last year, but the year before they had a couple companies there showing off seats and whatnot. Again, I think it was really just down to COVID.
Yeah.
That why some people weren't there, like, because usually iRacing has a huge, like I said, has a huge presence there, but they were nowhere to be seen, which is very, very surprising for me. And Hoyer, he didn't make the trip up there because R Factor 2 wasn't present. But going into ACC was there, RaceRoom was there with the RaceRoom Cafe, and talk a little bit about RaceRoom Cafe. Because when I went there, when I was up at the ring a couple months ago, we stopped. There's shops there where you can shop and buy memorabilia and all this other things. The RaceRoom Cafe was closed, and it said it was just closed. They didn't say why it was closed or anything like that. So I thought they were just closed permanently because of COVID. Kind of finally killed them out. Because the same thing happened, kind of the Area 51 in the States, where that's the big sim racing center that's there. But we got an email actually from KW Suspensions. It came with KW Automotive, and they were inviting us out to RaceRoom Cafe, which surprised me. But I didn't know that KW Automotive owned RaceRoom. They own Astra Racing, and they own Track Time Rigs. And I've got a video that I'm making because I spent about 2 hours with them, trying out the rigs, having interviews. So I got a video coming out with them. So I don't want to get too deep into it, but it was great to see that they opened it back up, and they've completely remodeled the whole entire thing. Because when you went to it last year, they were running Logitech G27s, these old monitors with the giant bezels. They were triple screen, but they were running like that RaceRoom, that little rinky RaceRoom cockpit. It's just like, oh man, I don't want to sit in that thing. And they've completely upgraded the whole entire arena to where you've got 27-inch monitors, you've got DD wheelbases with Asher rims, along with now the more updated RaceRoom, which feels amazing now compared to what it was with their forced feedback and their new physics updates. Oh my gosh, that thing is awesome. So if you're if you're ever at the Nürburgring and you're there, visit the RaceRoom Cafe and try out their stuff. It was so good to seeing them taking it to the next level with all these new products that are coming out. And if you see in one of the pictures too, like they're showing off their new Asher butterfly rim that's going to be coming out next year too. So they're showing that off. Yeah, so I got a whole video segment of them, me trying their 3 different rigs. So we'll just watch out for that video coming out pretty soon too.
Yeah. A quick note on RaceRoom though. Do yourself a favor and take one of the hill climb cars and jump in that Lakeview hill climb. It's fantastic. That's one of my favorites to drive.
Yeah, I'll go try the RaceRoom for a second. I started playing that recently. We need to get America on that, guys. Like, seriously.
Yes.
So iRacing, we are constantly hearing people complaining about iRacing being expensive, and as much as I defend iRacing as not that expensive if you plan the purchase, I'm still with you. It is still expensive, even if you budget, you know, $100 a year. RaceRoom's like $100 for all the content right now. You can get the like little premium pack or whatever. You get everything in it. The only thing I didn't get was the Mustang that came out the day after I bought it because I'm an idiot. But get the content. It's no subscription. You don't license the cars like you do with iRacing, where you license and then you pay the subscription to use your license. You buy the cars, they're yours. You can use them forever. You can test drive offline if you don't want to spend the $100 and you just want to buy one car and a handful of tracks. You can do that. They have European track packs, American track packs. Speaking of the German side of things, like these guys, they're really deep in sim racing over on the EU side. The lobbies are always running. If you look like American time zones, like 4 a.m. till kind of noon, 1 o'clock area, they are always full. So if you're a daytime driver, you can get in there. But please, if you're an evening driver, start hopping on. I'm checking on Wednesdays, usually Mondays, potentially Fridays, Saturdays, often checking as well. Not tonight, there's a VLN race, but most of the time I am taking a look. And there's only like, 10, 12 people running right now as far as the American time zones go. If we could get RaceRoom as popular as iRacing, I do believe it could be a legitimate competitor for iRacing. UI is nice, the driving is nice, force feedback is great, easy to set up, great tool tips if you're newer to sim racing, graphics are great, sound is better than iRacing. So to be fair,
you can also bang doors in iRacing and not totally ruin your car.
In RaceRoom, yeah. You can have a little bit better of a damage model as well. In terms of like your car's leaking and you're popping tires and all kinds of crazy stuff can happen, but it's a little bit more forgiving. Definitely something worth looking at, guys. RaceRoom's a great title. Sorry, I didn't mean to get derailed there.
No, you good, man. You good.
Well, maybe the Simpit will have a new series in Sim Racing GP coming up.
Maybe. I don't know. Stay tuned. We'll see.
Stay tuned.
Maybe. So yeah, the RaceRoom Cafe, man. That's it. If you're ever at the Nürburgring, go in there, try out what they got. It was great trying this stuff out, and that really covers most of like the product stuff. The other side of the SimExpo is, of course, the esports side.
Yeah, we've got about 10 minutes, so if we can kind of wrap it up a little bit, but we can definitely go into it. They had everything separated, right?
So they actually had it separated, yeah, which was weird because last year they had everybody in this massive arena. They made it very esporty. They had 2 race cars in the middle arena, the sim rigs in the middle, and the big screens and everything. It was very focused on esports 2 years ago, and I'm glad this year around they went back and I think they created the perfect balance between products and consumers and esports. So it was crazy to see all the esport teams were off to the side. They weren't in the main area of the SimExpo, but they had their own booths that looked like pit stalls. So they had, a lot of them had 2 sim rigs on each side of the booth. In the middle, you had somebody sitting at a desk with like 4 or 5 screens, watching telemetry, watching the standings, watching all those things, like being a real pit crew. It was something really cool to see that, like, wow, these esport teams take things seriously, like you're actually really racing. It was great. It was fun to see them doing something like that. And when the guys weren't racing, you could walk up and say hi and talk to them and everything like that. It was fun. It was great seeing something like that, where like seeing how their setups are. And it's got me questioning like how we do our endurance races. Like, I don't know, do we need somebody to create a pit booth for us to watch our stuff? Um, well, yeah, it was great to see something like that. It was great seeing, esports still part of the expo, but not fully taking it over like they did 2 years ago. Um, so and it kind of leads me. I don't know if you got any comments, Dave, but this kind of leads me where into like my final thoughts of the Sim Expo.
I don't have that many esport comments, but the overall thing of the expo is I wish they put one in America, and again, I wish they would trickle down more to the average consumer, and it'd be great to have a good motion sim for the people that want to go that route that's affordable. I'd like to see more of a focus on leather wrapped steering wheels, better sim seats, and VR. I think VR is great. I just would like to see more developed in that area too.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, DKR, I saw them out there. It was great. It was great seeing like how these esport teams were handling their esports. It was fun to see. Really enjoyable. Which kind of like leads me now, like lead me into my final thoughts of the expo. Because I've been to the last couple ones that have happened and seeing the things that they've done, the changes, the evolution of the expo. They've learned some things what to do, learn what not to do, and next year they're hoping to bring it back bigger and better than ever. Again, they were kind of hampered this year because of COVID. Um, but like, I went to it a couple years ago. It was very, very consumer focused. The year after that was very esport focused, and this year they nailed the perfect balance. And previous years they would have it running with the Blackpain GT3 races. So I think they were trying at the time to get as many people into the Sim Expo as they could to see all these products, to get people to buy their products. But I don't think a lot of those people or would ever get into sim racing anyway, and they let a lot of the real drivers that came over or the real team members come over kind of overtake the expos. Which wasn't really cool for us people that are actually passionate sim racers. We felt kind of like we were sidelined, and this year to see it where it was simply focused on sim racers, not esports, not real racing, and for us to have the time to do what we wanted to do, to see what's out there, to make up our minds on what to purchase, to see the new technologies, the new things, how things are going, was to me was fantastic. And the icing on the cake is, I got to meet a couple YouTubers. I got to meet Random Call Sign, Ricardo. I got to meet James West, Gamer Muscle. Got to meet Aussie Stig, which is great. We watched him on YouTube, and we interact with him on YouTube. But actually sitting down and having like actual conversations with him in real life is a completely different, which is a great. Oh look, it's Random Call Sign. There he is. Speak of the devil. Uh, but it was great actually meeting them in person. I've met Aussie Sig the past couple years. A great person to meet, and this is the first time I got to meet Random Call Sign and Gamer Muscle and to meet them in person, sit down and chat. They were sitting in line waiting for food, and I'm like, "Oh, hey guys, I'm Ameer from the Simpit. How's it going?" And for them to sit there and take the time to actually talk with me and chat about normal things was awesome and welcoming. So yeah, I had a blast with those guys, and unfortunately, I couldn't hang out too long with them because I had other things to do. But yeah, I can't. Hopefully, I get to hang out with them again and chill, and hopefully, we can bring Sean next year, so we can have 3 bald YouTubers there. I don't know if
We,
they'll get any. I don't know if they're gonna need lighting. Like they might just shine enough light as it is.
we may need to start a fund for Sean.
Get 3 bald heads over at that convention center. People gonna be confused as to what's going on. Wrong kind of
Right?
convention.
Especially if you have to wear masks. Like, who's Dave? Where's Dave Cam? Which one's Gamer Muscle? Which one's Sean Cole? Everybody gets so confused, especially if we get to wearing the same clothes. Yeah.
Yeah, let's hope we don't have to deal with masks next year. Let's hope this whole thing is behind us.
Yeah, we'll see, man. But again, I think by far this is probably the best. To me, it was by far the best expo that they had in recent years because of the type of crowd that was there. They were very respectful. They were sim racers. They're very passionate. You could sit there and pretty much talk to anyone that was there, and they would sit there and have a full conversation. I'm just walking up to random people at booths, like, "Hey, how's it going? How are you? Like, what are you doing here?" Kind of things like that. Where I don't think you could do that with when you had like a more generalized crowd that was there for something else and decided to walk up and show up. and see what was there. So I hope next year they keep it separated from the real racing and to keep it solely focused on sim racers, and make it bigger than it was this year. Hopefully COVID will be a non-factor in this year, so we can get a lot of the vendors and companies that weren't there this year, they can make it out next year, and show off, and really start making that competition between the companies and show off who's got the better product. It was great, and I can't wait to go next year, man. I'm excited, and I hope one day you guys get to come out too, and meet everybody and have fun and
Yeah.
try out those motion rigs, Dave.
Yeah, sounds like fun.
Yeah, one day. I know. Hopefully next year we're gonna get Sean out. It would be cool to get the whole crew out, but we'll kind of look at that as it comes. That's a big hurdle for all of us, but we'll definitely be looking at getting Sean out next year. Ameer, that sounds like that's pretty well your final thoughts. You got any more to kick off for the Sim Expo today?
I don't have anything, Dave. I'll leave the last final thoughts to you. If you have anything, like wishes maybe for next year or
More
what you've kind of
Corollas.
seen in the news.
No, the only thought I just had was maybe Fanatec could get everybody from the Simpit to run their booth.
Yeah, there you go.
That way we'd all be there, right?
Yeah. We
Right?
can do this. We can do the Fanatec podcast and stuff.
Let me
Right.
text Thomas real quick and see if we can make that happen.
Yeah, great
Oh, I
idea.
bet you we can. All
Yeah,
right, we'll work on that.
I got it. Yeah, we'll work on it. That's right.
Or
All
maybe
right.
we'll do the next level booth. Who knows?
We gotta start. We can't just aspire to be at Fanatec. We got to start somewhere in the middle and then build our way up. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we got to start with the, what was that? Was it Veraco with the chair? Or was it? No, we got to start with Tornet. We're gonna do the chair rig. That's the one. We're gonna do the chair rig.
There you go.
Norman,
Maybe, I don't
Robinson,
know.
welcome,
All right.
buddy.
Field VR might be there next year, so we'll see. We could start out with Field VR and prove that they actually exist.
Right.
Yeah, that would be the way to do it. All right, bro. So that's pretty well it. As far as that goes, I'm not gonna go into my final thoughts on it. Really, I'm pretty much with these guys. You guys heard them talk. This has been the Three Wide podcast. We are going to be looking to bring these guys back pretty much anytime we have a big topic. We're not gonna try to do them scheduled. This isn't gonna happen the first or second Saturday of every month. We're just going to look for the topics. When there's a topic that comes up that's worth of us sitting down having a podcast over, we're gonna hit it. If you guys have suggestions, there is the public Discord. If you guys take a look in the description down below, there is a link to that, and there is a submit links or submit ideas for Three Wide little spot in there. You guys can go ahead and post any of your comments or questions, any kind of ideas, stuff like that. Simpit Miata series, bother me. Maybe one day we'll get it back. We time to run things has been hard, which is why we ended up kind of cautioning the Three Wide podcast in the first place, was because we had some time constraints. But we think we've worked out most of that stuff. We have enough guys with the four of us now that we can kind of bounce Sean and myself, Ameer, and Dave. We can kind of bounce us around and stuff like that. So we do here. I'll grab you a link real quick. Sorry for the quick little mess up here, but I see you guys typing it in the chat. I won't make you look in the description. I'll grab it for you. Here you go. All right, there you are. Oh, Streamlabs did it. It just took 5 minutes. All right, well, I had it, and Streamlabs took care of it. That's enough of the bumble in from me. One more quick time. Dave Blair, thank you for being our co-host today. Thank you for the comments. Much appreciated. Anything you want to say to chat?
Yes. Subscribe. We've got a lot of stuff coming. And join our Discord. We've got a lot of new people that have just joined in, but the community is building. And again, we'd like to see a bigger North America, but it doesn't matter where you are. We have people all over the world. So come join us if you're into sim racing, and just join the crew.
There you go. You hear it from Dave, and one more time from Ameer. What do you got, buddy? Give the boys something to say.
Me again. Thank you guys for showing up. We much appreciate it. I love doing these podcasts with you guys because we get to actually deep dive into topics that people, think about, or probably not even think about, but we get to sit here and just chat, and people will listen in and throw out their questions. But so we did this for about an hour and a half. So the people that stuck around, or new guys, we really much appreciate you guys tuning in, and hopefully, we could start doing these. Like Dev was saying, we're gonna do these for big events, and we'll try. We'll show out there what our inputs are. But again, yeah, join our Discord, join our community. We're growing it. We're trying to make it better. We got a lot more stuff coming out on the YouTube channel. I've got a couple of things coming out. We got Devin. Devin got to be Sean Cole yesterday on the pit stop, which did an amazing job. And yeah, so thank you guys, and hopefully we'll see you guys out there racing on the track with us.
All right,
Have a good
guys.
night.
That's it. The last shout out is for the patron. As always, guys, the best way to support the show, patreon.com/thesimpit. Obviously, viewing the videos, if you're a premium user on YouTube, downloading the videos on mobile, subscribing through Twitch and donations and stuff like that, of course, that does help. But the best, most consistent way to support the Pit Crew is, of course, the patron. Patreon.com/thesimpit. That also gets you access to a patron-only section in the Discord. We do have the free Discord open, but there is a patron lobby and a patron voice lobby, and you will see Dave, Ameer, myself, Sean kind of hanging out in the patron area there. So if you want to come chat with us and that kind of thing, it is around, and we do appreciate the support. With that said, one last time, Dave Blair, goodbye, my friend. Ameer Assad, goodbye, my friend.
Bye, buddies. Good night, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Take care.
There you go. I'm Devin Booth. This is the Simpit, and we will see you on the track.